Took me forever, and I burnt out 2 of the little mouse sanders by Black & Decker. They just didn't have the guts to handle it. But these vines here, all of this vine and all of this growth that you see in this area, this is an edge. You went from more or less a wooded area to what used to be a meadow. This was, when I first started working here, a grass meadow. There was no parking lot there. And it went all the way to entrance number 2. It was a big, open, grassy meadow. And it was quite pretty. Lots of cottontail rabbits and things like that living up in here. Lots of butterflies. And it's changed. When you look at nature, always remember when you're looking at a real setting, people have a tendency to forget, and they think of it as being a picture, a photograph. And it's not. This is a living, moving, changing thing. It's a motion picture. It's slow in some ways. Sometimes it's really brutally fast. I've seen changes to the environment in the last 20 years here that really, alarm me. The loss of species that we have on this campus it scares me a little bit because I got to figure it's global. It's not just Pleasantville, and it's a little bit frightening. Blue jays in the background, giving its call name, Jay, 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 Jay. Okay.
Can you eat the walnuts from the black walnuts?
Yep, you can eat the walnuts. They're delicious. And the hickory nuts. This is a walnut here. Hickory nuts are smooth, and hopefully if we find them. The black walnuts, they're lime-sized. That's a pathetically small little black walnut.
Yeah, because there's the.
Yeah, this is the husk of it, and this was actually lime-sized earlier in the season, and it shrunk up. But the black walnut is real flavorful, very oily nut, real good to eat. Hickory nuts are by far my favorite. They're better than pistachio nuts. They're better than macadamia nuts, but you'd have to be a mental patient to break open, you need a hammer, and you get one tiny little piece of nut meat out of it. But, oh my God, is it good. It's better than pecans by far.
To break them?
To break them? Yeah. And the fun thing is when you're working with young kids, when these fall off, they look like limes. They're almost the size, they're about this big when they fall off. And God forbid one of them hits you in the head, it'll knock you in the next week. But the juice from them stains your skin. And so, if I have an obnoxious kid in class, a little kid in one of my summer camp programs, I'll tell him, rub that on your cheek. It's got the anesthetic, it'll numb your cheek. And then for the next 2 weeks, this kid will have these brown spots on his face. It eventually fades, but boy, it takes a long, long time. And it's my way of getting even with the little darlings. And you hear the cardinal with the...
Yeah.
Both the male and female cardinals sing, which is very rare. The hairy vine growing up this tree, and if you notice, it grows pretty straight up the tree. It doesn't wrap around the tree. We have other vines that are wrapping around. That's the bittersweet. But the hairy vine, that's poison ivy. Poison ivy can affect you winter, spring, summer, and fall. If you're affected by poison ivy, don't burn it, don't cut it down in the winter, even though the leaves aren't on it. The urushiol oils that are in there that affect your skin are active all the time, and it could really get you. I had a friend who burned some poison ivy clearing his land, and he inhaled it, and he got poison ivy in his lungs. He got poison ivy under his eyelids. He said it was, the only way he could describe it is like, if there is a hell of an itch under your eyelids, is the worst hell there is to itch. And he said his eyelids were, just weeping pus. So, yeah, nasty. And he was in the hospital for, quite a while getting not antibiotic, steroid treatments because they thought they were going to lose him. These are the seeds, by the way, on the bamboo. And like all plants in this family, the Polygonum family, all of the seeds are trident. They're three-sided. where a lot of seeds are round and smooth. These are like the old settlers' hats, little tri-shaped, triangular seeds. So that's one way I can identify plants, is by the shape of the seed, by the shape of the stem, by the smell it might emit. The bamboo, you can see why they call it bamboo. I mean, it looks like, you know, the true traditional bamboo, except bamboo is a grass. It's got parallel veins, and this has a broad leaf, and it's got complex veins in its leaf. So
what is it?
it's a polygnum. Polygnum is its right name.
Bamboo stays green all the
Yeah.
So these are deciduous.
Yeah, and this is an herbaceous plant. It'll grow 14, 16 feet. If I look down on the ground now, we might start to see the, little pieces pipping down here. Yeah, here's one. This little bright red, this bud is going to turn into, here we have a few of them. These buds are going to turn into 14, 16 foot tall canes of this plant. Grows fast. I mean, you can almost come out here and watch it grow. It's one of the few plants that, grows like kelp. It grows wicked quick. There's a lot of thorns in here, and the thorns make for great bird nesting, great rabbit habitat. It's just, I've always enjoyed this short little nature trail. I've identified over 82 flowering plants on this short little nature trail. On any given day, I average 20 songbirds. 20 songbirds just walking around this little trail, which is kind of neat. The trilling one, that's a chipping sparrow. The one that sounded like sweet Peabody, that one. It's a white-throated sparrow. My daughter loves this because her name is Layla, and I told her that chickadees, when they sing, they go, they're singing Layla. So now she goes outside, she goes, Layla bird, Sue, Sue. Now she's 24. No, I'm kidding. She's 2 years old. So it's cute as hell. That's the
I have 30%.
okay. The vines, yeah, that tree is just as gnarly a tree as you ever wanted to see. Now, when someone says, what does gnarly mean? Gnarly doesn't mean like, oh, dude, it's gnarly. That's gnarly. All of those growths on the tree, if you were a furniture maker, that's something you'd be looking for. Because, yeah, those burls, when you turn it into a veneer wood, you get the bird's eye maple, all of these different swirls and things like that. Sometimes it's the diseased wood that makes the most interesting. I have a friend of mine who has a guitar that somebody made out of wood that had been dead for quite a long time, and it started to decay a little bit, but the colors and the fungus that had grown through it was gorgeous, and they finished it off with an epoxy finish. I coveted that guitar. I would love to have it in my collection. It's a beauty. The vines growing up and down that tree there are introduced from New Zealand. It's a hairless variety of the kiwi fruit. The kiwi that you buy in the store are fuzzy and kind of gross, and I don't like the flavor. I mean, they look great on a custard, or they look good, nice in a pie or in a salad, but they really don't have very much flavor as far as I could tell. These kiwis here on these plants are absolutely the sweetest, most delectable fruit I ever had, except you'd have to be Tarzan to be able to climb up into those vines to get them, because they're all up in the upper branches. Now the woodchucks in this area, will climb all the way up to the tops of those trees. Now, I've never heard of woodchucks climbing up into trees, but I've seen them 30 feet up into the trees, just filling their mush with those fruits. After a frost, they become really, really sweet, and they actually become, well, it becomes like a wine. They become affected by it. You'll watch the woodchucks walking around campus looking like they've been out at a party or something like that. And what it ferments and they eat it. There's also a berry in the area that the cedar waxwings eat. The cedar waxwings are beautiful little birds. I don't know why, but every autumn people bring these birds in to me and they go, he's sick. And I'm like, yeah, let me keep him for a day or two and sober him up and then let him go. He can't fly. I mean, he's so plastered, he's so drugged up that he's like, dude, I can't even move. I can't feel my wings. And there's a narcotic plants out there that, and I'm sure that they must be doing it on purpose. I don't think it's accidental because it's year after year it keeps on happening, and I think they kind of like the buzz, and some of them can't handle it. You can't handle the truth. So the vines there in that ash tree, which is dying, by the way, the ash trees in this area are dying, and I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but since I've been working here, the dogwood trees, as far as really a breeding species on this 200-acre campus, basically it's over for the dogwood tree. There are very few dogwood trees that are living in the forest that are making it. The ash trees, between ash yellows and now the ash borer beetle, doesn't look good for them. The American chestnut tree is gone, the elm tree is gone, the sugar maple is going. Things are changing. The ailanthus, the Norway maple, the white pine, they seem to be holding their own. And they're invasive species for the most part. Any questions about what we've seen here? As I said before, in this area here, lots of mice and rabbits and birds nesting. The multiflora rose is a real good thorny protected area for small nesting birds. The wild turkeys come up here quite often, and they'll eat seeds, they'll eat the rose hips, and they nest up on the behind the dorms in the ridge back there in that area. The wild turkey nest up in there. Red-tailed hawks breed on campus. Great horned owl, barred owl nest on campus. Screech owls definitely nest on campus. Down on the pond, we have two types of ducks that nest there usually each year, mallard duck and a rare duck, well, becoming rare. The black duck also nest on the pond. And there happens to be a ringneck duck down there for the last couple of weeks. That's kind of neat. You can't see the ring on his neck. It's one of those stupid named birds. I'll be damned if I've ever seen the ring on a ringneck duck, but you can see a white ring around its bill. Now, why don't they call it the ring-billed duck? Which is white, and it looks like someone took, like just white mascara and just went right around it. It's so white, you can't see the damn ring on his neck. It's like a red-bellied woodpecker. What a bad name. Have anyone ever seen a red belly on a red-bellied woodpecker? Light pink, little pinky color, maybe you might see it, but who sees a woodpecker's belly anyway? I don't, and I'm a bird freak. Again, the lichens in here in this area on the rocks. Originally with the farm, when the farm was built here, the settlers that came in here, they took advantage of a good thing. They didn't create any great ideas. The reason the farm is there, we had to have an archaeological dig done around the farmhouse in order to be able to move it. What they found out was when they were digging around the farmhouse, they found lots of signs of Native Americans that lived in this area. The European settlers, when they came here, they didn't like invent the wheel. They came here and they said, hey, the Native Americans are living here for a reason. This was the nicest piece of property in the 200 or 300 acre area. It had a small stream running through it. There's good air drainage. There was lots of good trees, a lot of good forest around. It was a good area to live. The Native Americans knew that. They were living here first. The Europeans came in and said, bang, 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 my land, thank you very much. And then they lived here. And it was such a nice piece of property. Westchester is such a nice piece of property that lots of generations of people continue to want to live in Westchester because it's got a kind of a nice climate normally. And it's a beautiful area, and it's really full of still a diverse amount of wildlife in this area.
Okay, my phone.
You're dead.
Nick, I gotta go. My phone is gonna die.
Okay, this is a walnut, and let's see if I can find a smooth hickory nut. These are the hickory nuts here. This is a hickory tree. You see the exfoliating bark? This one and the one behind it, the bigger one. The peely bark, these are shag bark hickories. By far the best tasting of the nut meat, and this is one that flying squirrel has eaten this one. I could tell by the way it's chewed that it was a flying squirrel and not a gray squirrel, which means that I have issues. But they'll chew through it, and it's worth it for them. Their chisel-like teeth can handle it. But I'm telling you, you could go in, and the only way to open a hickory nut is with a ball-peen hammer, a good hammer, or a vise. I mean, you can't do it with a nutcracker at home. You'll just end up crushing your knuckles. But the meat is delicious. The area here, the stone wall, that's where I digressed. This area here was mainly used for sheep and pigs. It wasn't good enough land for cattle. We have too much of the tectonic erogena, the rocks that were left from the glacier. There's a very poor soil base here. That's why a lot of these trees, if you look at them, they're all growing crooked because there's not enough soil for the roots to get into the ground and grow. There's bedrock underneath here. Where they're putting our new farm back in that area where you can see that building you can see there is the garage, basically, for the farm. They put it in front of their brand new, beautiful classroom building. Why you would want to put a garage in front of but I'm not an architect. The new classroom building for the environmental center. Where the cottage,
Yeah.
we're going to have a classroom
This
building.
little white thing up there.
The white,
It's a trailer.
yeah, that's just a trailer.
But above that.
The white is the roof, flat roof. Hate flat roofs. They have not created.
Participate in
We
this. We're learning about
wait
participating.
Wait till you get to participate in your section when they do it for you. It's. I'll give you
Sort of like, what do you want? Here's what you're going to get.
I told them the barn that I wanted. I looked at the local barn building companies, and I figured I'll go by their plans. I wanted a 36-foot by 36-foot barn, 3 stalls on each side of the barn, 10 by 12 stalls, with an aisle down the middle. Cement floors, windows, sliding doors, typical barn, regular barn. When we got our plans back, I was reading them with a microscope, not a microscope, a magnifying glass, because the print is so tiny. I saw at the last second dirt floors. And I was like, dirt floors in my new barn? How about cement? Like the barns that I have now have cement. Don't play this for the university. I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's that valued engineering. If we could dumb it down and cheapen it up, we will cheapen it up. And that's what they did. And I made a stink, and finally I'm getting my cement floors. But I asked the guy, I said, listen, there are windows here. Do I have to ask if there'll be glass in the windows? I just assume there'll be glass. I assume there's going to be a floor. I assume there'll be glass in the windows. Am I wrong here? And that's where I've learned the term value engineering. If they could save $1 here, they can do this with it. I don't know what they do with it, but it's very frustrating. And flat roofs, they have not created a flat roof yet
That works.
that works. And what's the first thing they're going to put on the brand new classroom building that's Gold LEED certified? They're going to put the 6 solar panels they're going to put on our flat roof. So they're going to put a racking system. They're going to put the flat roof on, put a rack system up, put holes in our new flat roof for the solar panels. Well, why didn't they just build a slanted roof? And, you know. Oh, and it's 18 feet high. The ceilings are 18 feet in the new building. If they would have gone 2 more feet more, we could have a second floor. 2 feet.
Hey.
But it's, you know.
Progress here.
I am excited. I mean, I've worked here. I built the nature trail that you guys were just on. I made that nature trail. When I first came here, there was a little path, you know, through the woods here that no more than 2 people could walk abreast. And I kind of designed it, and I went through the way I wanted to go through. And I missed a lot of it. I didn't go out into the where the birch trees are. Do you want to do that? Do you want to?
No, that's
okay.
Tell us about birch.
Well, the birch trees in this area, we have a black birch that if you peel the bark from it, it smells just like root beer. Now, you tell little kids, if you ever work with little kids, go out there. It's fun to identify plants by the sense of smell. Kids love it. You know, the onion grass, they love to smell it. The garlic mustard or garlic, they love to smell it. The best, though, is the birch tree, because when they smell it, you go, what does it smell like? And they go, mints. And you're like, no. Toothpaste. And you tell them, no. I said, when I tell you what it smells like, you're going to go, oh, yeah. And so finally, they don't get it. And then you say root beer. And all of the little kids go, oh, right, root beer. And it's a neat thing. We also have sassafras up there, which is one of my favorite trees. Why sassafras isn't grown ornamentally, I'll never know. It changes beautiful colors in the autumn. It's a very clean tree. It's just a wonderful tree, but it must be hard to propagate because nobody's making money on it. I would if I could. But the sassafras smells just like Fruit Loops, which you want to get little kids excited, say, this smells like Fruit Loops. Kids love Fruit Loops. My daughter goes to my older brother's house and steals his Fruit Loops and his Captain Crunch, because my older brother, although he's 57 years old, he's got the palate of a 12-year-old. By the way, this is we all know that the wild scallions or the onion grass. Really, really zesty. If you want to chop it up and throw some into a soup, I had kale soup this afternoon for lunch that my wife made. And you go out in the lawn and you pull up some of this and you chop it up. It's really, you know, it's a zippy little onion. It's spicy. So, or the cows. If the cows eat too much of it, the milk can taste like onions. You get oniony tasting milk, which is horrendous. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I will share it with Sarah. She is the chocolate eater. Okay. And oh, this is Molly. Molly.
The one that was eating rabbit food, right?
Yeah. And this is Hannibal. And that's Clarice, his sister. Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, well,
it's kind of.
No, those are hair sheep. And the hair sheep actually will shed their wool. Even the one in the back, the female, she's, by the way, 15 years old, which is an ancient ewe. No, the dark brown one. Yeah. She's with the horns. Yeah. She's ancient. I've had her forever. And these guys are all a little long in the tooth. When we move to the new farm, I'm planning on getting some new animals. I hope to get teacup pigs, maximum size 30 pounds. We're getting pygmy goats.
What?
I've got a
I
young.
wanted to get one.
I have a young lady who works for me. Leanne Reynolds is her name, and she breeds the most beautiful. She's a goat freak. You want to know something? She fits in at the environmental center. It's like a nut in a bolt, man. She just fits in perfectly, and she raises beautiful, beautiful. I mean, award-winning pygmy goat. They're not pygmies. Yep. She does.
They're not pygmy?
They don't call them pygmy goats anymore. They're dwarf goats.
Because they're like,
Tiny.
yeah.
Yeah, they're born. They're like 3 pounds, two or 3 pounds. So they're.
So you're going to have some.
And I'm hoping to get. They have a variety of cow. It's called a Scottish Highlander. It looks like a woolly look, but they have miniature, 200-pound maximum of this woolly mammoth looking. It looks like the aurochs, I guess what they were called. They're really neat looking animals. So I'm hoping to get like a little mini farm.
Mini animals.
Mini animals, yeah.
Wow. Mini horses.
Fezzik the giant. He's 24 pounds. He weighs as much as my daughter. He weighs as much as a 2-year-old child.
You can get miniature horses too.
Yeah, I had those. They're nasty little
My
boogers.
student had one. She said it was nasty.
Yeah, they're nasty little boogers.
So we don't need that.
Well, I'd like to have. That's why I designed the barn with 6 stalls, and it ended up having 5 stalls. The goats and sheep, by the way, my goats and sheep live in that little shed. What is that? 8 by